What's going on, everybody? Skunk72 here in Southern California. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm not really doing a vlog. I don't know how this is going to turn out, so we'll see. What I'm doing is 3-hole oil change on my 2009 Fat Bob. And I just want to show everybody how easy it is to do this yourself. So this is basically all I really needed. Okay. Over here, I got my Harbor Freight torque wrenches. Tupperware container that I bought to drain the oil into because it fits under the bike, and I can't afford to be spending money on like the specialized Harley one that's slim and fits under the bike. So I drain it into this and then just pour it into there, and that's where I take it for recycling after it's in there. See over here, I got the AMSOIL V-Twin, the AMSOIL primary fluid, and AMSOIL sphere gear. I don't want to get into a big discussion about this. That's just what I prefer to use. Everybody's got their differences. I use a Can-Am oil filter for that reason right there. It's got the nut on the end of it that you can use a wrench to put it on, take it off, that kind of thing. There's my derby cover gasket. Some paper towels that I'll be using to clean up, and also be shoving a couple of those under the oil filter when I pull the oil filter off, because there's going to be leakage, there always is. And hopefully I'll be able to catch it before it drips all over the bike. Second funnel that I bought the other day, because this funnel has a thick end on it and it's kind of hard to fit that into the primary to get the oil to go in. And again, I don't want to buy the specialized Harley one because it's just too expensive. I'm not going to spend that much money on a funnel. This one, it's nice and thin at the bottom so it fits right in. Of course, my service manual is going to tell me all my torque settings. My drop light, which I brought out just for you guys, so I could light things up a little bit, because, you know, lighting in my garage isn't great. This is all the tools I'm going to use. And that one is really only to cut the cardboard that I put underneath the bike. So, that's all that's for. So I got a ratchet, brought an extension out. This is, I'm trying to do everything with one hand right now while I film. This is a 17 millimeter, the only metric one that I'm going to use, and that is for the oil filter. We got 5/8 deep socket, that's for all the drain plugs. This one is a 3/16 Allen socket. Most of you are going to need a Torx. I actually switched all mine out to Allen heads. And I'll show you what I did here. When I put my new derby cover on, I like the Allen heads better because they don't strip out as easily. And I like the contrast that it made with the black primary, the chrome cover, and then the black bolts. I also throw the 2x4 under my Jiffy stand, and that is just to make it easier for me to see what I'm doing under the bike. So what I'll be doing is, like I said, I'm the only one here, so I don't have anybody to film for me. So what I'll do is I'll use the camera, show you guys what I'm about to do. I'll probably put the camera down while I'm doing it, and then come back and show you everything else. Alright, so I'm going to get started. So the first one I'm going to do is going to be the oil pan, which is going to be on my clutch inspection side. So if you look, I know it's really going to be hard to tell. Right here, we have a little rubber grommet. And what that does is that's where the Jiffy stand rests. So I need to move that out of the way, which I'm going to need 2 hands to do. So I'm going to have to turn the camera off real quick to do that. And if you look right here, got this bolt that is facing out at me. That's my oil pan drain. So I'm going to pull that one to drain my oil pan. This one right here facing down, that's my primary. So that's where that drain plug is. The transmission drain is on the other side, so I'll get to that when I get there. I'm going to put the camera down real quick and get that rubber grommet off. So just in case you couldn't see it, there is that rubber grommet that I had to take off, and like I said, all that's for is for the Jiffy stand to rest on when it's in the up position. My bike is dirty as hell, it needs a bath, but I'm not going to give it a bath until after I do this. Alright, so here we go. See, I got my little Tupperware container under there. Again, the reason I'm using that is because it actually fits underneath the bike, which my big oil container will not. Bike's already been warmed up. I took it for a ride around the neighborhood. Did probably about a mile and a half on it just to get it warm up to make that oil thin out and make it drain real easy. So here's the next step. I think I'm going to do the primary first, actually. Because that way, actually everything's going to be in the way. So I'm going to have to do them one at a time. I was hoping to be able to drain them both at once, but I'm not going to be able to. So I'm going to move my container out of the way, get it loosened up to where I can do it by hand, and then I will pop that off and let it drain out and probably burn the shit out of my hand. So I'll be back. Alright, so while these are out, here's my drain plugs. Which, if you notice, let me see if I can get some good lighting on it. There's a little magnet at the end of those. That's to catch all your little metal shavings, so you gotta inspect those really good. A few shavings are no big deal. That's gonna be totally normal. You gotta expect that. But if there's a whole bunch on there, then you got a problem. I've only got a few little tiny shavings, so I'm doing good. You can check my little O-ring. You can replace those if you want. You don't have to do it every time. It happens that I replaced them all last time, so I'm not going to. But see, both of them have just a little bit of shavings on there. Totally normal, not a big thing. Then I was able to pop them both without making a big mess to drain both the primary and the crankcase at the same time. Make life a little quicker for me. So my next step is pull my derby cover off. Okay, so again, I changed out my Torx to these Allen heads. Real easy to get off, torque them down properly. So just get those loosened up and we'll pop the derby cover off. Notice these have a little washer on them. Don't want to lose those. And I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down because I don't want to drop my derby cover in the oil, and I don't want to drop it down on the floor and scratch it. So I'm going to use 2 hands for that. Alright, so for my oil filter, here's what I like to do so it doesn't make a mess. Is I'll put a shop towel under there, and what I'll try and do is make a little trough. So basically the oil that falls out of the oil filter will be caught up in that trough. Makes a little bit less of a mess. I'm going to get oil all over shit. Actually, I never noticed that before. Guess the heel of my boot rubs on my primary when I'm riding. That kind of sucks. I'm wearing that thing. I'm wearing all the powder coating off. Just now noticed that. But anyway, fuck it. I ride the bike. Who cares? So, like I said, I get the nut end K&N filter. And I'll make that little trough under there with the paper towel, so that way when I pull it out, hopefully most of the oil gets caught up in that paper towel. Now, according to the book, I should unhook my forward shifter control. I don't do it. I can finagle the oil filter out without having to do that. But I think I'm going to need 2 hands for this also. And actually I'm going to need to put the drain plugs back in the primary and in the oil pan before I do this, so I can bring my container back over here and catch what oil does drip down. Alright, so I apologize I wasn't able to film it all because I needed 2 hands to work. I've replaced both of my drain plugs. One there and the one right here. And I've put my little Jiffy stand grommet back into place. The torque settings is 14 to 21 foot-pounds of torque for the drain plugs. And then I also put a little dab of clean oil on my O-rings since I'm not replacing them. Well, actually, either way I would have done it. But I put a dab of oil to lubricate the O-rings so they would seat properly. Now from here, matter of choice, I'm going to go ahead and put the primary fluid back in so I can get my cover back on and keep dust particles and shit from getting into my clutch. So again, I'm going to need 2 hands to do that. Luckily, this bike takes exactly 1 quart. So, use my AMSOIL V10 primary fluid, V-twin primary fluid, and my new funnel that I just bought specifically for this. We'll see how it works out. So I'm going to do that next. I again need 2 hands to do that. So I will be back. Alright, so got my new clutch gasket. Honestly, looking at the old one, I probably didn't need to replace it, but I already bought it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in. So next I'll be put these on. So this side right here with the like rubbery substance on it goes inwards. It tells you right there towards clutch. It goes inwards. And what I'll do is I'll get all my screws put in and do them hand tight. And then from there we got to torque them down. Now they give you a specific pattern that they want you to do it in. I honestly always just do every other one and work my way around, and that keeps one area from getting tighter than the rest and causing problems. I'll double check the torque setting in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and get this on there and get it hand tight, and then I want to get over and get that transmission drained out before it cools down too much. And then the last thing I guess I'll do will be the oil filter and refilling everything else. Okay, so what I did was I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kept working my way around in that fashion. I'd turn a little bit till I got snug, then I'd move on. So I got this one snug, went to this one, got it snug, went to this one, got it snug, this one snug, this one snug. Kept going all the way around until my torque wrench let me know that I was there. So the torque wrench settings for this are, I believe, 84 to 108 inch-pounds. I went ahead and set my torque wrench for 90 inch-pounds all the way around. Should be fine, never had a problem, never had any leakage come out of it. I think I forgot to mention I also put a dab of Loctite, blue Loctite, on each one of those so they wouldn't rattle loose. Okay, moving on to the transmission. So I hope I was recording, I'm not real sure. There's our transmission fill hole. I went ahead and took the dipstick out to let air in so the transmission could flow freely while I drain it. So just underneath, on my Fat Bob anyway, just underneath is the exhaust side of the bike. And what you're looking at right here is the transmission drain plug. It pretty much lines up with the transmission casing up on top, so it's going to be really easy to find. It faces straight down to the floor. So our primary, which is over here, and our transmission are the two that face straight down, and then our oil drain plug faces out towards the Jiffy stand side of the bike. So again, I'll take the 5/16, get it on there, and I'm going to loosen that up to where I can do it by hand. Every one of the drain plugs on this bike is 5/16. So you're only going to need the one socket. And I'm going to go ahead and move the camera before any oil drips and get my drip pan under there. Alright, so the transmission fluid is done draining out. It's all clear. I cleaned up my drain plug, got all the little metal shavings off. Again, just some fine dust, no big deal. And I'm all set. I put my drain plug back in. Again, putting a little bit of oil on the O-ring, inspecting the O-ring, make sure it was okay. Got all torqued down properly. Same torque settings as all the other drain plugs. So now, got my other funnel over here. I'm going to go ahead and, once again, I'm getting lucky here. My particular Fat Bob with a 96 cubic inch engine takes exactly 1 quart. So that makes life a little easy for me. The primary fluid and the transmission fluid, both 1 quart. And I'd like to point out that this funnel that I use to do my primary, made by Flow Tool, it's called a Measure funnel. I got it at AutoZone. Worked like a champ on the primary. The tip here fits perfectly in the little notch in there, which I didn't show you because I was using both hands at the time. That fit like a champ. So I'm going to come over here, I'll grab my 1 quart of AMSOIL Severe Gear. SAE 75W140. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Different people prefer different things. Some people like to put the Harley Sin 3 in all 3 holes. Some people like red line. I've used them all. I'm happier with AMSOIL. So we'll go ahead and get that 1 quart in there. So 1 quart's in. I'm going to put my dipstick back on there, and the 2x4 that I have under my Jiffy stand that I use to make it just a little easier for me to get onto the bike, I'm going to go ahead and take that out now, because it's meant to measure your fluids while you're sitting all the way down on the Jiffy stand. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that and double check and make sure my transmission's where it's supposed to be, and then I'll be moving on to the oil filter. Okay, so when measuring your transmission fluid with your dipstick, right there, the transmission dipstick is meant to drop in. You do not thread it down. Pull it back out, check. Make sure you're at the right level, and you're good to go. Now the oil, on the other hand, when you put that in, you have to screw the oil cap all the way down and then unscrew it and pull it out. So just a little tidbit there. So I'll check it. It's usually really hard to see with the brand new oil, but it is right where it should be. I'm going to be honest with you, there is a torque setting for everything on this bike. I'm going to do German specs on the fill cap here. German specs being good and tight. Alright, I'm going to need both hands for a second, so I'm going to shut this down and I'll come back for the oil filter. Okay, time for the biggest pain in the ass and messiest part about doing this yourself, the damn oil filter. See if I can do this without an extension. I think I'll be able to. What's going to happen is once I get this loose, it's going to spew oil all over the freaking place. Yeah, nice. Alright, so clearly I'm going to need 2 hands to do this, so I'll be back. Alright guys, so for the first time ever, I've had the K&N filter kind of fail on me. I used a 17mm just like I was supposed to, and it was super soft and it stripped out on me. So I ended up having to wedge that guy in there, which there really wasn't enough room for it. So I did end up having to undo my shifter bar. God damn it, I can't think of what that thing's called right now, but I had to undo it from here. Never had to do that before, but oh well. Yeah, it got the job done. So it took way longer than expected. So I'm going to grab my new oil filter, put a little coating of oil around the O-ring on it to make sure it seats properly and doesn't bind up. And then we'll be to the last step of putting more oil in. So let's get that done. Alright, so I got her hand tight. I'm just going to get in there with the 17. And give it like maybe a quarter turn. That should be good. And hopefully next time it won't bind up on me. So, what I'm going to do is put this guy back together. It's really easy. Just goes through there. You got to hold this guy, put the outside nut and washer on, just tighten her down. Not a big deal. I gotta go grab my Loctite because I want to Loctite that, make sure that doesn't come loose when I'm riding. So, be right back again. Alright y'all, now for I guess the almost final step. I'm still gonna have to run the engine, let the oil circulate around. But I'm going to be refilling my oil pan now. I may have made a little mistake. The book says 2.5 quarts wet, 3 quarts dry. So we'll see what happens here. I had 3 quarts, but I forgot when I had taken off my cam cover there, I had added a little bit of my oil in, and I did not replace that quart yet. I don't even think I used a half a quart of it, so we're going to give it a shot and see. I may have to run out and grab another quart, but hopefully not. We'll see what happens. So the reason that I did this video was to hopefully inspire others to understand that if you can't afford to get your fluids changed, don't leave your bike sitting. With the AMSOIL and all the other stuff that I had to buy to do this, I think I spent a total of about 75 bucks. And what I ended up doing, because I'm a man on a budget myself, I bought a bottle at a time. One day I was at Cycle Gear, I picked up my oil filter, I bought my 1 bottle of oil at a time. And just the other day I went and bought my last bottle, which was the transmission oil, and my derby cover gasket. So doing it like that before I needed it really worked out. And I'm actually doing my fluid change about 500 miles early, but that's fine. I wanted to get it done anyway. So as I said, the last step after doing this, I let the engine run and cycle the oil around. Then I'll double check and see if I have enough. But you all got the gist of it. And like I said, I know hundreds of other people that have done this exact same video. But I personally am not a gearhead in the slightest bit. Never liked working on cars. And ever since I got my Harley, I've just been learning how to do stuff on my own. It's pretty much a YouTube video for anything you could possibly want to learn how to do. And that's what got me started, with just small little things. I think when I got my bike, I didn't like the grips that were on it, so I bought the grips that I wanted. And just something that small, I was scared to death of doing myself, because I had to take the switch housings apart, and I was afraid I was going to screw something up. Well, after watching a couple of YouTube videos, I realized this isn't so bad. I can do this. So now, after doing all that, I have relocated my front turn signals because I put a batwing fairing on my bike and I had to move the front turn signals. Did that. I've installed my headlight there. This is the fun one. I have upgraded my cams, and when I upgraded my cams, I had to put the adjustable push rods in and get those all set up right, and that was fun. I was scared to death, but I got it done. So guys, there's nothing you can't do yourself on your bike after just watching a few YouTube videos. So I hope I've helped somebody out here. I mean, if I help one person out, I've done something good. So I'm going to go ahead and call this quits. I'm going to check the oil level, start her up, let her run for a little bit, then check it again. Then I'm going to go for a ride. Hopefully I don't need to buy another bottle of oil. So anyway, after you guys get done, hope you go out and ride. Rubber side down, shiny side up, and peace out, everyone.